Hey, all, welcome back. Welcome to tonight's segment. Hope you had a great day. So, this lady right here, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she's my governor. Oh, excuse me. She might be your governor too. I'd say 9 out of 10 times I disagree with most of her policies. That's why it's 9 out of 10 times. But today, I actually agree with one of her policies. We actually signed into law today Bill 4617, which is a ban on conversion therapy for minors. Pretty awesome, right? Well, it depends on what side of the aisle you fall on. What is your definition of conversion therapy? Now, from the left, the most popular type of conversion therapy is pray the gay away or send a child to a psychiatrist to promote traditional heterosexual relationships with the opposite sex. Or maybe a doctor might prescribe medication to defeminize my son or demasculinize my daughter. Now, that's from the left's perspective. Now, if you look at it from the right, when we hear conversion therapy, we're thinking, oh, great. You can't prescribe my son or daughter puberty blockers, or you can't perform sex change operations on my child. So if you really think about it, it does. It comes down to your definition. What does it mean? Well, that's why we're here today. Now, I did a little research earlier today when I found out about this, and I checked some of the local, regular news outlets: Detroit Free Press, Detroit News, M Live, and I found this random one, a Lansing news outlet, just a small little network. The Wood TV 8 is what it's called. And pretty much every article states the same thing, pretty much covers everything. Every single one of them just parrot each other. So, what we're going to do today, we're just going to look at some of the finer points of this article. There's not very many. And then we're going to actually look at the actual bill that actually passed and was signed and became law. Once we do that, we're going to go to a reputable medical web based website and look at the medical definition of conversion therapy. And what do they say? So let's get started and check this out. So, conversion therapy. Excuse me. Ooh, you got an itch. You got to itch it, even if it's on camera. So, conversion therapy, the scientifically discredited practice of so called conversion therapy, which aims to convert LGBTQI plus people to heterosexual or traditional gender expectations. Come on, Wood TV, you forgot the I. That's not very inclusive of you. Is now banned for minors in Michigan under the legislation signed Wednesday, July 26, 2023 by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, this law was passed 21-15, with one Republican saying yes. Now, me personally, I think that Republican was very smart because they understood the nuance of this law. And honestly, the way that it is depicted in my opinion, really looks down upon the LGBTQI plus community. Because once we start reading this, I want you to really pay attention because once again, this is a government document. Every pause, hesitation, or hard stop is considered a hard stop. And we are going to read this law and what it covers and what it protects. When you hear the legal protection and where in the law that this is actually protecting the LGBTQI community, it may offend you. And if that's the case, you may want to stop the video here and move on to something else. If not, you're welcome to stay. Now, first of all, I will say this: Governor Gretchen Whitmer does have a child who is in the LGBTQI plus community, which is, of course, no issue. And she clearly stated in many of these articles that she is an ally. and supports the community with her whole heart and will always support the community. You might think differently when you realize where they actually placed this law. So let's go over that law. And once again, please remember, pause, hesitation, or stop is considered a hard stop. We're not going to go through the entire listing of the act numbers or any of that. We're just going to get right into the meat of this law and where it's covered. Now, an act to codify, revise, consolidate, and classify the laws relating to mental health. To prescribe the powers and duties of a certain state and local agencies and officials and certain private agencies and individuals. To regulate certain agencies and facilities providing mental health or substance abuse disorder services. To provide for certain charges and fees, to establish civil admission procedures for individuals with mental illness, substance use disorder, or developmental disabilities, to establish guardianship procedures for individuals with developmental disability, to establish procedures regarding individuals with mental illness, substance use disorder, or developmental disabilities who are in the criminal justice system, to provide for penalties and remedies, and to repeal acts of parts of acts by amending Section 100A MSL as amended in 2020 PA. Think about what I just read to you. That is where they are placing protections for conversion therapy in the LGBTQI plus community. They're clearly stating that they consider this a mental disorder. You can read it yourself again and again. Now, let's go down to where it is covered for conversion therapy. Where'd you go? There it is. Conversion therapy, section 20. Now, with that law, with the part that we actually read, actually protects individuals that fall under that statute. Okay. Now, conversion therapy. Conversion therapy means any practice or treatment by mental health professionals that seek to change an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. Remember, stop. Including, but not limited to, efforts to change behavior or gender expression or to reduce or eliminate sexual or romantic attractions or feelings towards an individual of the same gender. Conversion therapy does not include counseling that provides assistance to individual undergoing gender transition, counseling that provides acceptance, support, or understanding of an individual or facilitates an individual's coping, social support, or identity exploration and development, including sexual orientation neutral intervention to prevent or address unlawful conduct or unsafe sexual practices, as long as the counseling does not seek to change an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity, as used in the subsection. Gender identity goes on to define the identity or expression is a term that defined in section. Basically, if someone identifies as a male, female, or bi, trans, whatever, okay? So what they're doing is they're saying that if you're already going through the transition process, then the law is null. But if it has not begun yet, if an individual seeks out the transition process, it can't be completed because a doctor cannot facilitate it to a minor. Now, this here is telling us from an adult's point of view. This is for an adult. So if someone who is over 18 is going through this process, They continue to go through the process. This particular bill, okay, actually provides an amendment to Bill 4616. And we're going to read that. So, what this does, this protects the rights of an adult who is already going through this procedure. And the amendment is to 4616, which actually enacts this for medical treatment for those that are minors. So, what we are going to do is we're going to look at that bill. It's very short and sweet. Enrolled House Bill 4616. Okay. Now it's an act to an amend. It gives the statute an act to codify, revise, consolidate, and classify the laws relating to the mental health, which is part of the 4617. The people of the state of Michigan enact Section 109A. A mental health professional shall not engage in conversion therapy with a minor. A mental health professional who violates this section is subject to disciplinary actions and licensing sanctions provide under sections, and it gives the sections. Now, they're saying conversion therapy, a mental health professional. So they're saying, depending on how you define it, they're saying that the definition of conversion therapy means the practice or treatment or a mental health professional that seeks to change an individual's sexual orientation or identity. Stop. That means regardless if you're on the right or you're on the left, if a mental health professional or a doctor tries to alter the sexual orientation or gender of patient, it is illegal if they are a minor. Because like I said, it stops. You can't change it. You can't convince them to change it. That makes it illegal. So even after where it stops, people are going to read and look at it, including not limited to the efforts to change behavior, all that stuff. You can go ahead and continue to read it, but it doesn't matter because at that comma, it's a period. Government, commas are periods. So if a doctor is actually assisting a minor in going through a conversion of any kind, heterosexual or homosexual, it is illegal. That is what that means. So, yes, it does protect an adult that is going through the whole conversion and transition process, but it does not protect the doctor from converting, trying to convert, or assisting a minor doing these things. So, if you look at it the proper way and read it the proper way as a government document, this law actually goes right down the middle. It actually satisfies the right and it satisfies the left. So that means that one Republican who actually read this properly, as it's meant to be read as a government document, understood that this actually satisfies both sides. That is what passed today. Now, let's take a look. We're going to go over to WebMD and see what they say about what conversion therapy is. What is conversion therapy? Okay, conversion therapy is an emotional or physical therapy used to cure or repair a person's attraction to the same sex or their gender identity and expression. Providers claim that these therapies can make someone heterosexual or straight, but there is no evidence to support this, which is true. There is no evidence to support this. But what they do, what is important here, psychotherapy, which is now protected under the law, you cannot provide that to a minor. Either side. Medical. This includes medicines, hormone and steroid therapies, extreme cases of gender affirming surgeries. That means to neutralize sexual orientation, especially among transgender people. That means you can't do a sex change. That is what conversion therapy is. So you cannot provide puberty blockers to kids or perform sex changes. But what it does is it limits the ability for parental consent. It does not allow a minor to do this. If the child is living that lifestyle, they can clearly identify as whatever they want to. And if they feel that it is necessary once they are 18 to continue that transition, they are allowed to. What this does, for many of these cases, there's always the, I guess you would call, I think it's called gender euphoria. Now, this is just opinion for me now. Gender euphoria. A child is young, say a boy plays with dolls. Okay. As time goes on, as they mature and they change, their mental capacity changes, their lifestyle changes, everything changes around them. In many phases, they grow out of those phases and become normal heterosexual boys. The same thing with girls. As when I was a kid, they used to call them tomboys. So, yeah, girls wanted to play in the dirt, wanted to play with action figures and cars. Go ahead. Eventually, a lot of them grow out of it. But people are just going to like what they like. Just because a kid likes to play with dolls, or, a boy likes to play with dolls, or a girl likes to play with cars, doesn't mean that they're part of the community. They're just kids. They don't know yet. They don't have the capacity to make those kind of decisions or understand those kind of things. That is why this law has been put into place. This is so minors can actually have the time to develop the ability to think or have that forethought to go through these processes. Now, if, as the law states, if you're under 18, but you still live that lifestyle and that's how you identify, well, when you're 18, you can go ahead and have, whatever therapy or whatever you need to do to identify the way you want to identify. All this law does is protect minors on the left and the right, no matter where you fall in, your view of this, particular lifestyle or therapy or how medicine is practiced. This protects the kids. It's that simple. And that is why I'm actually for this bill being passed today or being signed into law. Because the one thing that we have to do, protect our kids. Let them develop, let them become who they are. And once they become adults, they can make their decisions. That's simple. But that's just me. That's my opinion. So, if you have a different thought, leave it in the comment section. That's all you got to do. But I'm going to leave it there. So, yes, I actually agreed with what they did today. First time since she has been in office. So, if you want, like I said, I'm going to have all the links down in the description. Check them out. Go through them. Read what you want. If you have a different opinion, throw it in the comment section. Like I said, that's all you got to do. So, hopefully, you guys enjoyed tonight's segment. Hopefully, it clarified a few things. And once again, we'll see you again next week. And don't forget, vote angry. I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Good night.